GM. GM.
Hello. Let me get these links ready, and we will be good to go.
Cool. Looks like, how's the YouTube looking? It looks like we're streaming there, and I could start recording it whenever we want.
All right, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yes. All right, I'm going to update the link in the event. I almost clicked end event instead of edit event. That would have been fun. Just to end everything we had planned.
Right.
Everybody here makes sense? Yes. Getting some things set up and started here. We're going to pin a link to the YouTube stream at the top. You can follow along here or there. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about market, kind of use our tool a bit to kind of show off some new features and kind of aid in our market discussions.
Just give a few minutes here. Let's see if see who files in. Let us make sure we have everything set up and running properly.
Yeah, unfortunately, Twitter rugged our first planned space, so kind of scrambling to get all of our links updated and pushing our members over this way.
GM Stallion, thanks for joining.
I finally got my headset figured out.
Nice.
I feel like next time we get like cool intro music, just kind of going over things as we're getting everything set up. Put that on the to-do list.
Definitely for next time, we'll get some jazzy music. We'll get Tom singing along. And,
I'm quite the singer, that's for sure. I see your testing comment too in YouTube, so it looks like we're good there.
Awesome.
All right, everything's good on my end. How are you looking over there, Clemente?
Good. Everything good here. I'm just joining from my computer with my other account, and then other than that, I'm good to go.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone for joining. We should be almost ready to go here.
And what I'll do is, just so in case anyone else doesn't know, we are also live on YouTube, and we'll have a little screen going at the same time there as we use our tool for additional resources and insights there. I'll make sure to pin the tweet to the link so you guys can follow along there if you'd like.
Awesome. I'm seeing the pinned tweet now.
Awesome. Seems like it's working. We're getting some people joining there in the YouTube, and yeah, a little bit of a delay in the technical difficulties. It seems like we even last week we ran into some. So hopefully, as time goes on and we keep hosting these, we get better at dealing with them.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think the more we do, the more familiar, comfortable we'll get. But yeah, definitely happy for everyone who's here. I mean, anything else we're waiting on here, or just want to give it another minute or so and then get rolling?
I think we should be good to go. Just want to start off with, a little disclaimer that, nothing on the show is financial advice. If you're investing in NFTs and crypto, you're taking risks. Make sure you do your own research. We're going to provide, our takes on markets and decisions and prices, but, make sure that you understand that we are not providing financial advice, and you should do your own research before blindly whaling in with us.
Great disclaimer, Ray. Thanks for that. So, hopefully everyone, if you're not on YouTube, definitely encourage you to watch us live there, as we'll be clicking through the site and going over a few things. Hoping for this to become kind of a weekly occurrence here, depending on how everything goes. So, the plan just to kind of talk about a few of the bigger items of news and just kind of go through WGMI alongside of going through those projects. Definitely encourage everyone to jump on stage if you'd like to jump in or ask any questions or just kind of get engaged in the conversation of the discussion. Please do so. And also, if you have any questions or anything like that, can definitely type them out in the YouTube chat as well. But I guess with that being said, let's jump in. So I think the first thing, considering some of the PFPs in here and understanding kind of our investments in our bags, I think it makes some sense to start with Moonbird, start with Oddities. So just to kind of show my current level of investment, based on the settings that I have on my portfolio right now, able to have quite a bit of Moonbirds, one proof pass, all the oddities that were spawned from my Moonbirds. So pretty heavily invested in this in this ecosystem here. Just want to pull up as we're going to start talking about it. This new custom chart button that we have, where you can go in and we can kind of just toggle a few different projects and a few different data points to be able to kind of look at and refer back to while we're talking about these various projects here. So right now I'm pulling up the Oddities floor price, the highest offer on the Oddities project, and Oddities current listings that exist, and I'm going to narrow that down over the past week or so, just so you can kind of see, and we can zoom in on all the data we have. The best offer data doesn't go back that far right now for us, but kind of showing on the screen. I mean, everyone's aware of, I think a lot of people are aware of the reveal that happened on Wednesday. So about 2 months ago, part of the kind of bronze nesting reward, or the reward for nesting your Moonbird, is that you were airdropped an Oddity. And this Oddity, it was talked about as, mostly just an art kind of drop, an art collab. It was understood that Gremplin was, the artist behind this and behind the collaboration there. So, I think there's definitely a lot of excitement and everything else behind the project. So I know that was kind of met with some mixed opinions, around the reveal, some disappointment and everything else. I know it's, I think it's definitely tricky with a project like Proof, with like Moonbirds, trying to understand where some of those expectations lie and where that bar is, and trying to figure out, what are the expectations coming into these things? I mean, can you expect an airdrop or, some kind of NFT, between Oddities and the silver nesting reveal? It's I think just trying to kind of manage and balance some of those expectations along with what the project was setting out to do. But just kind of looking at the site here and looking at the tool, I mean, you could obviously see people that maybe were buying in and were speculating a little bit on Oddities, were probably a little disappointed, I guess, not necessarily knowing that traits were matched, I guess, with the resulting Moonbirds and some of those other, kind of different nuances that came along with the drop. So, Ray, I'm just kind of hand it over a little bit to you, just see, any questions that you'd want to ask around there, any thoughts that you might have, about the drop, to kind of get this conversation kicked off.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there with the oddities. Like you said, one of the big points that has seen a lot of contention was the traits matching the original birds. And one thing, being that you're a pretty big Moonbird holder, like how did you feel, like irrespective of the market, like how did you feel that, your birds ended up, spawning oddities with the same traits?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously having a golden bird, being able to get a golden oddity as well, it was definitely nice. I think my expectation coming in, kind of was hoping to roll the dice a little bit, and just have it be, randomized traits and try to see, what could have come out of that and what the different combinations would have been if it was truly randomized. And I think, there's definitely positives and negatives on both sides. It's great that, these birds or these oddities, it's nice that they do look nice together. I mean, I don't know if anyone kind of saw my tweet, but to be able to see my matching oddities that were spawned from the bird, I mean, in that, with that regard, I think it does make sense that they were kind of matching, with some additional traits and rarities thrown in. I think at the same time, if they did announce that was going to be the case, you might have had a lot of Moonbird holders that were not willing to list their oddities. So I think that was something that you saw, almost the fact that they didn't announce it. The hope was to kind of get more oddities listed and to kind of create an entry for new collectors, new investors, new community members to kind of jump into the ecosystem at a better price point and have like an equal chance, I guess, or a chance at catching a rare oddity. So I think obviously pros and cons there. I mean, I would have liked to see just some different communication around it, but like we said, I mean, if we knew that the traits were matched like they were, it would have been anyone that had a rare bird likely wouldn't have listed those oddities, so it would have kind of limited the oddities that were available on the secondary market. So I think that's something that they were kind of thinking through and had in mind. I think something else that's tricky is like these kind of were left unrevealed for, almost 2 months, right? I mean, it was, there was a long time, between when these were airdropped to the nested bird holders, and when the reveal occurred. So I think all that really did was kind of build and grow expectations, build and grow hype, and kind of, I think the team was very transparent and honest and upfront about, it being more of an art collab and kind of talked about the utility and everything else that would, come along with it. And I think another, opinion and things that I've heard, I just think in general, art is very subjective, and I think Gremplin is an artist who is, his art is pretty polarizing. Looking at Cryptodes, I kind of stared at him for a while, a few months back, and I honestly didn't love how they looked, and I kind of didn't really get it. But I think the more that I started to look at them, the more that I kind of was scrolling through the entire collection. I mean, the art itself definitely grew on me, and I think the same thing will kind of happen here with oddities as well. I mean, to be honest, as a CryptoPunks were something that, I looked at those for a while and it was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't really, obviously, yeah, you loved some of the kind of rarer traits, hoodies, the VR goggles, like some of the other traits that existed, but the collection as a whole, I kind of, wasn't a big fan initially, but then the more you kind of scroll through and look at all the different assets and the traits and some of the combinations, this stuff definitely does tend to grow on you a little bit more. So I think that's something that we'll see continue to happen as we move along here is, the art itself, the collection, will really start to appeal to people a bit more along the way.
Yeah, and with that long, unrevealed state, it kind of makes you think, like, what decision making went behind that. Like, would it have been better? Would the reveal have been better if these were, randomly surprise airdropped, a week ago, and all the hype built up, and then the reveal, and everyone's looking at these maybe in a different light. It's hard to tell, and it's like a tough juggling act, and one that I'm not too envious of their position. If they had waited a longer time until these were potentially more ready to release, then everyone's going to be sitting here saying like, oh, I bought this Moonbird for, some people bought 30 or 40 ETH, on secondary in that original pump, and they've got stickers for 2 months. So it becomes, it becomes tough. And as they released the drop, as they released more and more information, as they kind of hyped it up more and more, I think they were building themselves up for a situation that whether or not they created it themselves, like they created an opportunity for the community to really hype these beyond maybe what they were intended to be. So something to think about. Looking at the Moonbird's floor that Tom's going over, people point back and they say, hey, these were a 2.5 ETH mint, and you got airdrop something that was over mint price, but there's a lot of people who didn't get that original entry point. They paid an arm and a leg for these things, and it's really tough as a project to kind of determine that value.
Yeah, I think it's tricky too. As project runners, I guess, just trying to make those decisions. And I think, the thing that I've appreciated the most is, Kevin, Justin, Stevie, just, jumping in spaces, being very active in the community, being very active in the Discord. They are very open and, want to hear opinions. They want to hear that feedback, and I think, I'm not gonna suggest, and I don't think they would either, that they got anything wrong here. I think, but this space, we do tend to forget how kind of new everything is, and you kind of, you look at projects that have been around quite a bit longer, and you don't and shouldn't necessarily set the bar for what's happening in the proof community against projects that have been around for a year plus. But at the same time, I think, making some of these decisions and kind of moving forward with them, and then adapting along the way, and just understanding, okay, we tried this here, it made sense to us at the time, and we put that effort in place, and now we're, kind of living with how it all played out, and learning from it, and applying that to kind of the next drops that they're doing, and everything else that they plan on kind of building and delivering to us along the way. So I think, you can think what you want kind of about the drop or about the reveal, we could even touch on I think the Silver Nest rewards a little bit here as well, but at the same time, I do think with a lot of projects, I mean, nobody's going to have 100% hit rate here, and I think just making some decisions, trying to move very quickly, and then being able to adapt and kind of move on from there. I mean, obviously, yeah, you'd like for everyone to hit the mark and see prices go up nonstop with each airdrop or with each kind of milestone along the way. But I don't know if that's entirely realistic. And at the same time, I think just making sure that they're open, transparent, and kind of communicating with everybody, and just taking that feedback into account with everything that they're going to be doing moving forward. So definitely appreciate that from them and from the team. So I don't know. I mean, we could talk a little bit about Silver Nest reveals, Ray. Also, there were some Oddity giveaway partners that were announced. I think, maybe we kind of have, we can definitely either pin or link to kind of the tweet and the announcement there. If you think it might make sense to kind of move on to CloneX at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we can buzz through that really quickly. So Clemente had a question in chat here.
Yeah, and if you guys don't mind me jumping in, well, first off, let me reset the room a little bit. If anyone's just tuning in right now, we are not only live on Twitter Spaces, but also on YouTube. And some of the things we were talking about, we are displaying some charts and additional insights that might be useful for the viewing experience. If you want to get that additional insight, we have the YouTube link pinned at the top. And I see Stallion requested to come up to talk. We do have a couple requests, possibly to chat about the, if you have something to add on to the Moonbirds discussion, let me know when you guys would want to bring them up and possibly listen to their opinions.
Yeah, I just brought up Stallion. Stallion, if you have something to add about the Oddity, seeing you as you're a Moonbird holder, we'd love to hear it.
Hey guys, yeah, at the moment I'm holding about a half dozen Oddities. Personally, I think the art is pretty cool. I definitely understand why people think it's polarizing, but there's definitely going to be a couple I keep in my long-term collection. It seems like we've had the floor fall on them a bit. You guys see this as an opportunity, or do you think we have more downside?
So one thing that I think is very interesting about the low floor price, well, not low, but lower floor price, it was probably peaked around 4 ETH, and now we're sub 2. It's almost kind of providing another entry tier to the proof ecosystem, and just jumping around that Discord last night, you could kind of see the different groups that it's targeting, which I think overall is like a nice positive for the ecosystem as a whole. You know, you have the proof tier. You know, if you're looking at that chat, you're seeing a lot of purple. If you're looking at the Moonbirds lounge, you're seeing a lot of, you know, the green. And then the oddities last night, it was brown. You know, that means that they only hold an oddity. And, you know, that discussion was going for a while, and it seemed like a lot of people were excited to be part of the ecosystem and like excited to have the opportunity to jump in. And, you know, the bigger the proof ecosystem community is for the long term, you know, the more, you know, advocates they have for their brand, and the bigger their brand can grow.
It was definitely great to see all those new PFPs in the Discord last night. That's for sure. You know, I think I saw Gremplin mention something about there's some feature in the smart contract for the oddities that's going to have them maybe change in some way. If I understood that correctly, do you guys have any insight on that?
So I looked at the contract. It seemed pretty standard in terms of the airdrop and everything in there. I know there was some like teasing, like there's all these vials and potions. I think on the live stream, Kevin, I don't know if he was being completely truthful. He's like, "What's that potion? I don't know what that is. I haven't seen that before." And then with the oddities like banner reveal, there were some potions there. So I think there's some speculation going on that maybe it's not all over yet, but it's. I like to temper my expectations, especially kind of after this. You know, if you expect less, you're not going to be disappointed upon potentially receiving something that isn't quite as valuable as you expected.
Yeah, understandable. And I did see there's some people complaining about silver nesting rewards and the oddities drop, but in all honesty, when I got the drop, I think I flipped my original oddity for about $5,000. I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah,
you could jump ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely appreciate you jumping up here, Stallion, and I agree. I mean, it's obviously if you had a Moonbird and you kind of airdropped an oddity, that was something where you could have definitely sold it at any point in time to kind of turn a profit there. So especially if you have multiple, you could have taken some profits, and I mean, what more can you really hope for or ask for? 30-ish days, 45-ish days after the original release of Birds, to be able to, like you said, sell an airdrop for somewhere around $3,000 to $5,000, as a Moonbirds holder. And then I guess it's kind of maybe some of the some of the community that were a little bit more disappointed could have been those who did buy in, I guess, on secondary, and who kind of were buying in to speculate on what might be in store, what kind of benefits they might have. I know someone asked on the YouTube live stream if oddities will have full access to future IRL events. I have to think. I mean, they do have access to the Discord now. It sounds like potential future access to High Rise, whatever that might end up becoming, which we'll hear a little bit more about next month. It sounds like at the at Future Proof, or during their kind of deeper dive kind of product session that they're having. I think they said end of August. So definitely will be interesting to see the other benefits that come along with it. But yeah, back to I guess the Silver Nest rewards. Kind of. That's another thing where it is I think they were pretty upfront about what those might be, at least some of the earlier nesting rewards. I think it's the project and the ecosystem is still pretty new, and I think I'd much rather know and understand that they are spending kind of money, funds on some of those bigger projects, the upcoming conferences, and some of these really kind of game-changing offerings that I think they're putting together. It's it really is a lot that they are kind of spending and money to kind of buy this merch and ship it all out and everything else, and it's stuff we're getting for free, and people are joking about it or mocking it, but at the same time I think it is some spend that they're kind of money that they're putting into it. But I'd much rather their bigger investments be into their product, into hiring, into kind of the longer term success of these projects and of this ecosystem. So to me, appreciative to kind of be getting things there, but I think with all of it, it's trying to find that balance between like what is the speculation and where is that bar being set, and trying to make sure that everyone is kind of level-headed a little bit and understands like the long-term picture and the long-term vision here, and I do appreciate that they're not really sacrificing the long-term for the short-term at this point in time. So that's kind of my thought there. I know Ray wanted to get into or just touch on the giveaway partners and then hopefully move on to a few other things. But Stallion, if you have anything else, definitely.
Just one last thing, real quick.
Sure.
I was listening to the spaces that Kevin and the team had put on yesterday, and one Easter egg that they did drop for us is that the Oddities collection. They're going to go with different artists and airdrop essentially a collection on track for, say, once a year. So, I mean, all the more reason to keep nesting, all the more reason to keep stacking more birds. If you think about it, even from just a percent return perspective, if that airdrop, say, a year out from now, ends up being anywhere close to what the value of the Oddities were pre-reveal, that's just from a percent return perspective. It's worth the investment.
Yeah,
you always have to kind of factor in the risk of the initial investment too. If it is or isn't successful, the bird may or may not be worth what it is today 1 year from now. And I'm very bullish on that, but you need to always take into account, initial investment, especially when you're factoring in future airdrops.
Yeah, great points though. Great discussion. Definitely appreciate you coming on. Feel free to stay on stage. I think we're going to jump into just touch on the giveaway partners real quick, and then jump into the CloneX artifact drop from yesterday.
Yeah, so they announced the giveaway partners yesterday, and I tried to jump in and out of a couple of them. I also speculated a bit about potential partners based on inclusion and diversity. I ended up buying a bunch of Heaven computers by Eggshells beforehand, and they didn't quite pan out as a giveaway partner. But I know you by BFF, Endowment Lens, 50mm Collective, Black At, Unicorn DAO, Human DAO, and Deca were all announced as the Oddities giveaway partners. With they were supplied with all the Oddities that would have went to nested birds, but the birds weren't nested. There's a play for a little bit last night on the U bracelets where you could buy the 3 bangle bracelets at the floor and potentially claim a raffle entry, and it was pretty good odds. I think that arbitrage opportunity has kind of died a bit today. I also speculated a bit in Deca. I wouldn't have, but I believe kind of their long-term vision, as curation and I think eventually a marketplace. I bought a bunch of level 20 Decas after the announcement, pretty much long-term holds, but if they give me an extra chance at, a free oddity, I won't be complaining. But I think that pretty much wraps up the oddities. Definitely a big piece of this week, and kind of it's going to be interesting to watch going forward. We'll move on into CloneX now. Their hoodie dropped last night, and a little bit of controversy there as well. Wouldn't be crypto Twitter and the NFT market if there wasn't controversy over every single drop and reveal, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. I know, like we've said, expectations just, within projects and as new projects are released, and expectations across projects, just continues to grow, and the bar just keeps getting set higher and higher, and I think understandably, with the floor price of some of these projects, looking at it and setting the expectations based off of that, which may or may not be entirely, fair, but I think, I know you were a bit more involved in what kind of went on with the drop yesterday, so definitely, give you the floor a little bit about kind of, what the intent was, what was supposed to happen, kind of the drop mechanics, a little bit of kind of how you identified a way around, the wait list and the site problems that they were having, and just talk a little bit about, CloneX.
Yeah, for anyone who isn't familiar, CloneX did a Nike collab release drop yesterday evening. They've been kind of hyping it for a bit. It's one of the first pieces of, Nike merch that's being offered. There's a little bit of, pushback within the community, like, why do I have to pay for this? Other collections are getting these things free, but, I kind of see the value here, having that kind of merged NFT where you have the option to forge it for physical, and you also kind of get the AR and like NFT benefits of it. I think it was pretty much a great value. And being a clone owner, I was able to mint one last night, but they had like a number of issues with their process. Coming into it, Cloudflare was on. It's kind of their MO. Their general process is enabling Cloudflare, blocking all traffic, going through the kind of drop process to make sure everything's set up and smooth. But the community is clamoring, and it got delayed maybe an hour. So by the time the release did happen, a lot of people jumping in, a lot of people already a little upset, and they're kind of met with these wait times that started at like 40 minutes and then just kept going up. I was lucky. Somebody pinged me, and I took a look at the contract and realized that like they weren't requiring any kind of signature or hash from the website. So if you know how to interact with contracts, you could claim your hoodie without waiting in line. And we kind of shared a little bit of this alpha in the Discord, and a couple people got their hoodies, were able to kind of jump the line. I don't know what's the moral or how those repercussions may be seen, but the blockchain is the blockchain. If you're able to do it, you're kind of able to do it.
Yeah, I think it's tricky where if they didn't want that to occur, I guess the site, the contract should have been written a bit differently to prevent that from happening. But I think it was awesome that you were able to. Someone pinged you, and I know you shared it in the WGMI Discord, and a few other people were able to go ahead and claim directly from the contract there. So and it does seem like others eventually picked up on that and were able to do it as well. But kind of have the charts in the graphs up here now. So the blue line, we're seeing the floor price and how that has kind of changed a little bit, over the past week or so, along with the collection offers, which are the orange line, and then the green line showing the number of listings, which has gone up pretty significantly, over the past week here.
Yeah, I've been pretty bullish on clones overall, and they've stated that like this is just like kind of the first bit of utility they're going to be getting over this like near term. So I think right now is kind of a great entry point on clones. I'm honestly, I haven't been buying much in terms of these higher priced blue chips, but I'm looking at liquidating a bit to grab another clone, especially after this FUD. I mean, it looks like I might have missed the bottom. The bottom might have been last night, this morning, but it's something I'm for sure going to keep an eye on today and going into that weekend. See if I can find a good entry or maybe get an offer accepted. One thing I need to start looking at is like now that we have this chart feature, kind of looking at the offer versus floor price spread, and kind of seeing that like separate. When that separates a bit, you're going to have a better entry, potentially even like an immediate opportunity to flip for profit, which could be pretty valuable. Actually, while we're at it, why don't we bring up the Project Explorer page for CloneX? We can take a look at maybe some trade floor gaps to see if there is like a decent entry on these. Like somewhere around the floor would be pretty interesting to look at, I think.
Sure.
And maybe you can talk through like kind of how that page works as you're doing it.
Sure, could definitely spend a little bit of time here on CloneX and Project Explorer. So, initially, and you could get to that. I have the project right now on my watch list, so it's just appearing at the bottom of my table because I unfavorited it. I don't own any CloneX, and like you said, could be looking at this as a nice entry point here. But just clicked on the Open Project Explorer action there to pop it open in a new tab. So for here. Right now, you can see a bunch of different stats about the collection. You can kind of see the floor price in both ETH and US dollar values and how that's kind of trended over time. You can modify your date range. You could also see the best offer and the best offer history, listing history, listings and sales data as well, and then total listings on the project. But trade floor gaps are definitely an interesting place that definitely like to take a look. If you have a specific kind of range or amount that you'd be looking to spend. So say looking potentially somewhere in the 10 ETH 10 ETH range, this is now filtering all traits that currently have a floor under 10 ETH, and you're able to kind of see which have some of the biggest gaps. So essentially, what is the floor for this trait, and then what is the second highest listing for that trait? That's what those kind of gaps are showing us there. I know there's a lot of traits that maybe aren't as highly sought after or highly valuable within the collection. So would have to probably defer to others who are holders to kind of understand which seem to matter a little bit more, but you do have the ability to filter by, type, which I think, or trait type, to kind of narrow down really what you're able to see there. So these are, I think DNA, was the one I was, being able to see between kind of human and robot. I think because I have that 10 selected, that's why it was limiting what I was able to see. You could see some of the gaps that exist within here, and could definitely use this page to try to figure out if you want to go kind of trait hunting, you have a certain budget available, and which traits you might want to be going after if you're looking to jump into this project here.
Yeah. Hey, Clemente, I want to do a quick reset on the room, and we brought up frozen grapes. We can take your question after we do a quick reset.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I know we've had some new people join. Welcome, everyone. So we are doing a market chat right now using some of these WGMI.io features. So if you're looking for a visual or kind of what Tom and Ray have been talking through over the last about 30 minutes now, we are live on YouTube, and that YouTube link is pinned at the top. So if you go to that tweet, you can then click on the link and you get taken to our live stream, where you can really get a visual on exactly what we're breaking down. But yeah, if you, as we're discussing new topics and you possibly have a perspective you'd like to add or a comment, feel free to request to come up, and we can pass it on to Frozen Grapes now if you have anything to offer there as far as what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys bringing me up. You can hear me all right?
Yep, we got you.
I come from an analytics background in the software service space, and I love the tool. I'm just intuitive and kind of easy to use, filtering, querying abilities. My one question, I know it's in early stages, but are you guys kind of get into like AI and anomaly detection? So like the wallets, the projects or whatever, like your watch list. Maybe a balance happens X percent, or that floor between offers accepted and listing price kind of has the disparity. What are the automated features? Because obviously not everyone has time to just be on the application at all times.
Yeah, definitely.
That is it's a great question, Tom. You can go ahead.
Yeah, appreciate that. And definitely. Appreciate you different advice, suggestions, and thoughts about what we have going on. So definitely an area that we want to get into a bit more and a bit deeper. Obviously messing with notifications a little bit. Messing with machine learning and AI to be able to and kind of others, maybe if this then that kind of scenarios of when you'd like to be notified, around managing your portfolio and managing your wallet. So these are definitely areas that we're looking to get into down the road. When we talk about STEPN a little bit after this, we kind of are going to talk a little bit about upcoming Newsfeed functionality and feature that we've been working through and hoping to chat about that. And then once we kind of move on past that big feature that we're building out, definitely, getting more into the areas that you kind of described, in trying to, like you said, it's great for people who could kind of come in here and select their projects and the data that they want to see and chart it and graph it and everything else, but there are those who would likely just want to be informed or notified, about different parameters that they're possibly setting, or just, being able to kind of generally provide those kind of market insights across some of the higher level projects. So definitely areas we hope to get into a bit more, kind of actively looking for and hoping to bring on some additional developers, data scientists, and, others with those kind of skill sets to be able to identify, all the data that we kind of are tracking and storing at the moment and how to put it to, its best use. So definitely, right now, as we continue to grow and build out the team, hoping to be a little bit more kind of multi-threaded in how much we're able to do at one time and deliver. But yeah, definitely an area that we plan on getting into next and kind of getting as deep as possible there, where, pretty much like you said, being able to pull out some of those insights and make some of those kind of assumptions and provide that information to our users in more of an automated fashion for those who might not have the time to dive in. And then there's obviously, a need for those who do love kind of clicking around and, building out their own charts and kind of doing their own kind of analysis on projects. So being able to kind of cater to that level of user too. So, definitely, appreciate that. And would love to chat, a bit more kind of offline or after the live stream here, if you do have any other additional ideas or, understanding what your background is, would definitely love to chat more about that as we continue building out.
Yeah, I appreciate the thorough answer, and I'll definitely shoot you a DM at some point.
All right,
thanks. Around the 100 degree New York City. So
yeah. Try to stay dry out there. But yeah, appreciate you coming on. All right, so yeah, what do you think, Ray? Jump into STEPN next here?
Yeah, let's go through STEPN a bit, and then I'm going to bring up Chuck Diesel as requested, but maybe we'll just do like a quick run through STEPN and kind of what's going on there. For people who weren't aware, there was a STEPN Shoebox airdrop for Bored Apes they could claim. I believe it was one per ape. I've kind of heard mixed reports, and I personally don't own an ape, so I was not eligible. They've done, 3.9 thousand ETH in volume over 7 days. One of the top projects on our free site in terms of 7-day volume. And one thing I kind of noticed on crypto Twitter and kind of general sentiment across Discords is that like a lot of ape holders either failed to claim or like didn't see the value in the claim and just didn't claim, and then kind of missed out on 2-3 ETH of potential free value there, due to their either lack of knowledge or lack of knowledge of how valuable it could potentially be. And that's one thing we're kind of working on behind the scenes right now. We've been putting a lot of effort into what we're calling a Newsfeed, where we're going to be curating news items, mainly valuable and actionable items. So going through all of the Discord, Twitter noise and kind of pulling out what will be valuable and actionable for our holders based on their holdings. So, if this tool were live and you're visiting our site and you're getting notified by our newsfeed, you would have had, a pretty in-your-face alert that, hey, there's a claim here and it's going to be a valuable claim based on, these different market sentiments. And it'd be like provided and written by, someone we've curated from the ape community that kind of understands how that whole ecosystem works. And Tom can kind of dive in a bit deeper about the overall plans, but that's kind of like one use case here where it's very obvious it would have been a big benefit to the community.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like more of the sentiment was just ape holders who had no idea, that there was this claim available to them, where to do it, if it was legit. I mean, I saw it just from a few apes kind of sharing it on Twitter, but like the last thing I want to be doing is, randomly clicking links that accounts are posting on Twitter, with some of the more recent hacks and everything else lately, it's definitely an area of caution, where you want to make sure it's legit before you jump in, and you can't necessarily trust the account, if it's been compromised or anything else. So making sure and understanding, hey, this is a legit opportunity. It is a legit airdrop, between the STEPN project and Bored Ape holders. This is something that, is likely worth your time and attention to jump into. And, as you can see, I mean, we're still looking at the free site here, but at one point in time, a few days back, these hit and almost, ended the day, with an ETH floor of 3.3 ETH. I do think they maybe touched or came close to about 4 ETH there. But, with the newsfeed, yeah, definitely starting with, some of the more higher level and popular projects that exist within the space, but understanding, hey, you're logging onto the site, you're seeing all of this valuable kind of data, information, insight about your holdings, the projects you own, what you paid for them, their current floor prices, and adding that level of kind of content, news, and information around them as well, both for projects you're invested in, projects that are on your watch list, or just other projects within the space that you'd like to be informed on. So definitely excited about that. We've been talking about it for a few weeks here, and it's still definitely a few weeks out in development time. But we're definitely working on establishing some of our partners, establishing the plans around that release and what's going to go along with it. But something that we're definitely excited for. Definitely seems like a very big, important need within the space. To stay on top of your projects, your collection, your holdings, to kind of give you more confidence in the decisions you're making and the links you're clicking and everything else. And Ray kind of touched on this a little bit, but the piece that we're pretty excited about as well is kind of the contributor economy that we're building or planning on building around it. So definitely opening it up to and kind of having forms for investors, collectors, holders within each of these project ecosystems to kind of submit the news, submit the information to us and be compensated for it. So the number of articles that you're able to put together or newsfeed insights that you're able to provide, the quantity and quality of those, are definitely going to lead to the level of compensation you could potentially receive. So, creating kind of jobs or creating opportunities for those within the space, collectors, investors, holders of some of these projects. You're staying on top of these projects, you're staying on top of the news, and kind of rewarding you for that time and for making those contributions and providing that information and those insights to our site, to our users. So something we're, like I said, very excited about, hoping to push some more news and information out about it over these next few weeks. So definitely stay tuned and stay following our Twitter accounts, jump in our Discord, and definitely something that we'll be sure to spread awareness on and, make sure you guys get and understand all the details around it as we continue building it out here. So, definitely would have helped make sure that, all ape holders that are using the site, using the tool are informed about that airdrop so that you weren't leaving, 2 to 3 ETH on the table.
Yeah, definitely. And I just brought Chuck Diesel up. I don't know if you have a question or something to add about what we talked about, but the floor is yours.
I appreciate you bringing me up, and I am excited about WGMI and what I'm hearing. I'm wondering, I'm just looking at the Project Explorer page on the website, and I'm wondering if that's what you're referring. If this is what you're referring to, and it has not been brought out to the community yet, or if it has and I just can't seem to find how to get there.
Are you referring to kind of the newsfeed piece we're talking about right now?
Well, actually, I'm specifically talking about the Project Explorer.
Okay.
I'm having an issue getting to that.
Yeah, so that is part of our premium offering. So we have our free site, and then we have 2 different tiers right now, Premium and Premium Plus. Premium's gated behind an NFT. Essentially, it was claimable by anyone who registered for our site over the first, 8 or so months of its life. We give them the option to claim. If you own the NFT and you go into your wallet page, you can see an action button here that Tom will show you for the Project Explorer. To click on that, you can also just append any project slug to the end of that URL, and it will load for you. I don't know if you are a current premium subscriber or not, but that may be part of the problem.
I am a premium subscriber, and I apologize. I'm having a difficult time going between Twitter and the YouTube video, so I'm going to jump back over to the YouTube video and mute myself here.
That's perfect. Yeah,
I can watch how Tom gets there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, you can just kind of walk through that as you're explaining it, so you can kind of see it in live time on YouTube. I know it's a bit delayed from the spaces.
Sure. So thanks for coming up, Chuck. So for each project that you either own or that's part of your watch list, on the actions column here, we do have this orange icon to open the Project Explorer. So clicking on that will open the Project Explorer in a new tab, which is kind of what happened here with Moonbirds. The URL scheme is just wgmi.io/project/, and this is the OpenSea collection slug right now. So if you wanted to get to it, if you try to get to this without being authenticated and without having the NFT, it'll kind of kick you back to the free site. But if you do have and you have our NFT, have an active Premium Plus subscription, or and you're authenticated to the site, you should just be able to go directly to this URL, or like we said, from here, it's the fourth icon from the left of projects you own, or the third from the left for projects on your watch list to be able to get to that project explorer. So definitely something we want to maybe draw more attention to or make a little bit more intuitive along the way here. I think potential area for improvement with this actions column is maybe making it more of an open menu where these icons have text associated with it instead of just tooltips, so it's very clear and obvious kind of what you're clicking to and what you're going through there, and how to get to some of these other features that the site has available.
Yeah, I think one thing we're talking about doing, as we're expanding and adding more actions and more marketplaces come on board, that may eventually just turn into a drop down with text and maybe the same images that you're kind of familiar, but it's something definitely that we're aware of, and we want to improve the user experience in as many ways as possible while not compromising the amount of data we can potentially show.
Awesome. Well, let me reset the room one more time here, just in case anyone is just listening in. We are doing this little market chat, which we're planning on starting to do a little bit more often, every Friday, hopefully. We are live on YouTube, streaming as well, just showing off a little bit about our platform. In case you don't know who we are, WGMI.io is a website that tracks your portfolio. It's gated by an NFT, but we also have a Premium Plus subscription, and we also have a free website that gives you just project and market data that you can use. But we are just really using WGMI as a platform right now to give us additional insights on what we're talking about in regards to the market. So far, we've covered Moonbird Oddities, we've covered silver nesting a little bit, we've covered the shoeboxes that were airdropped this week, that were claimed, and a little bit of CloneX. But I'll hand it over to you guys. Is there anything else that we had to cover as far as what happened this week?
Maybe not exactly this week, but the trend over the last few months, we've seen a bit of resurgence of art blocks. It'd be interesting to kind of, maybe we'll pull up our new our compared traits, or our custom chart creator that we just released today. Take a look at some projects together and take a look at maybe individual projects within art blocks. Maybe we'll take a look at Chromie Squiggles first. I know over the last month, I'm kicking myself. I was going into New York on the train and was looking at Squiggles at I think 6 or 7 ETH, and I was like, you know what, I need one of these. It's probably time to buy. And I said, you know what, I'll wait till after I get home. And by the time NFT NYC was over, they had ran considerably.
Yeah, so Chromie Squiggles, obviously a staple of the generative art kind of movement, and created by Snowfro over at Art Blocks, and just wanted to show a little bit of how this new custom chart creator can kind of be used to chart and plot different kind of trait data, project data along the way. So if you wanted to kind of keep an eye on how each of the, I know there's a few other types of squiggle that exists, but if you wanted to kind of see how these, how pipe, bold, ribbed, and fuzzy squiggles have kind of performed over the past few months at this point, you could definitely do so using this chart creator and be able to kind of see the floor price. And I think typically as the floor of the project overall has increased, you kind of see the floor of each of these rare kind of individual traits have also kind of gone up as well, and leveled off a little bit. It's probably nice if we tried to take out I guess if we removed fuzzy, you could kind of see, and we kind of narrowed down the range here to, I guess, March March 28th, it looks like, is the data that we have right now and how far back it goes. So this purple line at the bottom is kind of just the floor price overall of the project itself, and then you could kind of see how some of the rarer traits, have kind of trended since then, and kind of compare them against one another. And you could also do that for for traits. You have the ability to see both floor and listings for each of the individual traits. We do hope to add trait offers, to this functionality too along the way once we have better historical data on those trait floors. So something else that we're hoping to build out and add to this tool right now. So this is just kind of showing you how you can compare different traits to one another, or even traits against the project floor itself, and just see them all from one chart that you can kind of go in and with a few clicks be able to generate this on your own. So that is the different the traits there, and I think we also wanted to jump into some of the other projects and kind of compare those against one another as well. So if we pull in the Meridian, the Gazers, and then the Anticyclones, which are definitely something.
Maybe while you're setting this up, I know you were big into the generative art pretty much from your start in the space. Like, how would you compare the this kind of little bit of a pump versus the pump last summer?
Yeah, I mean, last summer was definitely pretty wild. I spent a good amount of time each day, in the art blocks, in the art talk kind of our block talk channel within the art blocks Discord. I mean, it was a fun time, just crazy, the growth and the investments and what the floors and volume was doing across all of these projects. Fidenzas really kickstarted that, I think, and after that it was just insane the amount of eyeballs and attention this generative art was receiving. And I think if you come from the traditional art world, I think that these kind of pieces, the art blocks projects, they definitely can resonate with people, a bit more than some of the PFPs. I mean, to be able to buy a piece because you do love how it looks, you're buying the art for itself, really, and nothing else, So I think, makes a lot of sense to, and it definitely differentiates themselves from, from some of these other PFP projects. I mean, we definitely saw a bit of an increase, again, in the June, about a month or so ago time frame, across some of these projects. We're kind of comparing the floors to one another here, where you can kind of see, as one of them move, or as kind of Squiggles start to move, you definitely see a lot of the other curated projects kind of move along with it. But I do think, as we continue moving on and the further along we get, the generative art movement is definitely something that's not going away, and you're going to start to see a lot more people kind of coming into the space and buying art and buying into these projects. Because it is something that they kind of, I think translates better compared to their current interests, being able to print some of these out and putting them on the wall. I mean, I know PFPs themselves, there's definitely a certain element, to art there, but I think a lot of people are buying the PFPs for the most part because of how, the other utility and benefits that they provide. And then I do think you kind of have CryptoPunks, which are somewhere in between, where some consider them just art, and I think others, hoping that there's some kind of utility and other future benefits along the way here, with kind of the Yuga acquisition and everything else. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of where Gen Art does go from here. But it has been kind of exciting to kind of look back and kind of see some of that data and see some of that information and be able to kind of compare the projects against one another.
Right. I think generative art, and the reason we've seen it explode so much is like it really just merges, perfectly into the ecosystem, where you have, a bunch of tech native users and buyers, that are interested in this technology, and the artwork is generated, through technology, through algorithms. It's kind of, an interesting intersection to look at how gen art has fared versus, standard art. Everything right now, I think we're seeing a lot of people run to art in general as a store of value, but generative art seems to be almost like, when you're talking about art and NFTs, it's almost like what is front of mind, which is definitely interesting now. And I wonder how that will age kind of as, NFTs and digital assets in general grow over time.
Yeah, great point, Ray. So, definitely happy to chat a bit further about art blocks or generative art for anyone who might want to come on stage, or anyone who's currently on stage. Otherwise, I think we were going to jump into Drifter a little bit and talk a little bit about that first day out. So we saw that did. Just wanted to kind of pull up that project here. Where
talking about like projects that resonate with you. I know you really enjoy these pieces, and unfortunately, I talked you out of buying one back when.
Yeah, well, this was the open edition here, right? So we definitely saw that move quite a bit, over the past week. We did see that kind of 100 ETH sale on the Where My Vans Go collection. So let me just actually add that to our watch list here. But
hey Tom, while you're pulling that up, I know Stallion raised his hand in case he wanted to add anything there.
Oh, just really quick, you guys had mentioned the Anti-Cyclones collection. Wanted to get your thoughts. I was seeing the floor around 7.5 ETH again, and it looked pretty appealing.
Yeah, I know. Definitely a big fan of those anti-cyclones, especially some of the different traits that are there. I mean, that's another project I've been looking into as, trying to figure out a potential entry. I know sometimes it's tricky because, if you try to time it, you try to keep looking at the floor and then it goes up. You don't want to FOMO in, but at the same time, if you're a believer in the art itself, and you do think long term, it's just a piece that you love looking at and that you really connect with. It does seem like it could be a better time to buy. So let me actually just pull that up and kind of close out of the others. So yeah, I mean, you kind of see where it did peak. I was looking at it probably when the floor was around, here. I think it was a few weeks back when it was around 5. Actually kind of mentioned it to a few people who did end up buying at this level, and nice to see the way that it climbed up there. I do know it's a very William is a pretty popular Tezos artist, right? So I think people are definitely he has a big following and a lot of fans of his work there. And to me, it does seem like a pretty good entry point here. I guess we could compare that against against some of the listings, just the listing data to kind of see where that's at, along with any potential offers that might exist. It's usually nice to kind of take a look at some of those spreads. Our offer data currently only goes back as far as the 13th. But you could kind of see those offers have kind of stayed strong at about a 7 ETH, amount, while the floor has kind of come down quite a bit. So that spread is getting thinner, and it's nice to kind of see those collection offers haven't really, dipped that much, So I think as you start to see the floor drop a bit, and you see the collections not also dropping, that could almost, not that it necessarily signals a potential bottom, but it's nice to see that spread is not increasing, so that could definitely be kind of signaling a stronger buy at these levels here, where 6.75, it almost seems like people don't want to go too much lower than that, when you're looking at that spread between the current floor price and the current best offers that exist and that are out there.
Yeah, now that OpenSea has the collection offers, I know Lookshare has had them for a while, but it's going to be very interesting to track and kind of watch this data over time and seeing how efficient the market will be with this data. There's going to be more and more tools out there that may, allow you to use this, and we're planning on using it and maybe developing some other metrics around it to maybe alert our users of, hey, like the spread on this asset is outside of its normal range, and maybe a good time to put an offer in. You might be able to get instant arbitrage if you can list it at the floor based on the current offer price and the amount of liquidity around the project. A lot of these are kind of exciting opportunities now that OpenSea has kind of joined Lookshare with the collection offer piece.
Yeah, and definitely some additional data points like Ray mentioned there that we want to make sure we're able to include and start tracking along the way. So I think, as time, as we continue kind of going forward, being able to see, the sales of the project, the volume of the project, along with the floor, along with the offers, and then using that, kind of like we talked about a little bit earlier, with Frozen, like those are all very, I think, important and kind of meaningful data points that we can kind of combine to kind of make some suggestions around good times to, as someone who might be looking to buy, good times to buy, as someone who might be looking to sell and take a profit, good times to sell as well. So, definitely excited about this feature and what we have here, but yeah, trying to use it in the best ways we can to make some of the best informed decisions. And I know some of it, with the collection offers could be tricky, just, as you see, there weren't any collection offers a few days ago. So the fact that we are starting to see some of those collection offers and that they are pretty close and that spread is getting tighter here, definitely signaling, I think, a time that, could be closer to the bottom there if you are, a big believer and fan of the art and looking for a good entry point to buy in or jump in. So that, yeah, anything else there, Stallion?
Yeah, I'm still keeping an eye on the collection. I'm really tempted to buy at this 7.75 price point.
Great. Yeah, I know I'm definitely keeping an eye on it as well. It's definitely really great work of art, or works of art. So definitely we'll be keeping an eye on it as well, keeping an eye on these, the data and kind of just seeing where some of those offers are. And, it could be a good time to maybe put an offer in between that spread somewhere there as well, where you might be able to get one for a little bit cheaper as well than the 7.75 floor that it's listed at. Yeah, we're over an hour here. I definitely, while there's still people in here, happy to keep going, a bit longer. I personally, we built some cushion in just in case we did run a little long. So I think happy to jump in a bit more. I think we could, if we want, could go back to, Drifter and kind of going into, his project there. Like Ray mentioned a bit earlier, this is a project I was looking into months ago, and I think it was somewhere around, I think it was somewhere in January, just after the new year, and was really, in that 20 to 25 floor price range. And these things, you watch, you kind of hear about Drifter's story and watch the video and just looking at the art. Some of these things are just amazing. Just kind of seeing him, climbing on these buildings and taking these pictures. I just wanted to have one that I just, have framed and blown up in my office to just kind of look at, just looking up over, New York City or just any of the other locations that he was at. I think Ray definitely made some comments when I was looking to buy at this range, and didn't do so at that point in time. But you could definitely see how the project has kind of done since then. But there was a pretty big sale for 100 ETH, which is awesome, and congrats to Drifter. Either yesterday or 2 days ago, I believe. And I think that led to a lot of speculation around what might happen with. First day out, is there any additional planned utility around that project? Kind of just show this one on its own right now. But, that was that kind of open edition drop that he did. And I know there was just a lot of potential FUD that, existed around that drop, asking what is the utility around that and everything else. And I just think, like we've talked about a little bit with art, the art itself definitely is the utility and kind of what you're buying into with some of these projects when you're talking about art, photography, and everything else along the way. So, I think it is a little tricky with the open editions if, there isn't that much difference, between each of the pieces, what the expectations were kind of around that drop, and how that performed. But we definitely saw that kind of volume move up quite a bit, and floor moved quite a bit over the past few days here. So saw a jump from 0.04 to 0.08 in a day following that 100 ETH sale. I'm sure if we pulled up the listings, I'm sure they're quite high now, on the project. But I think definitely something there where I think it's interesting to kind of look at some of those open edition projects and just kind of see how they did. So if we are pulling up Ray, I don't actually have the slugs readily available for some of the other projects right now, so I think we did want to kind of show the Fuocious Drifter and Xcopy projects kind of charted against one another that all had open editions, but I think for now, probably move on kind of past this project, but did want to bring it up as something that I was definitely interested in, at least the Where My Vans Go collection quite a bit ago, and just was interesting to kind of see how that open edition did once that big sale popped off 2 days ago.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ever gonna let me live that down. But I was looking at it, I was like, there's no liquidity here. Like, the price will come down. Someone's gonna eventually drop the price, but I don't think that ever ended up happening with the Where My Vans Go. I think some of the speculation around the first day out is, there's 125 of these Where My Vans Go coded into the contract as kind of a max supply, and they've released now 124. On Twitter, they said something along the line like, there's only 125. The last piece, which is token number 0, they've saved for something special. I think there's maybe some speculation that the first day out is going to kind of play a part of that token number 0, but nothing confirmed, and kind of all speculation at this point. But an interesting connection that something may be there.
Yeah, definitely something worth keeping an eye on, I think. Along this project, and I mean, you see 100 ETH sale as well, and could mean something else is coming, or some other people have some more info as well. So definitely love the art, love the photography, and definitely worth keeping an eye on to see what might happen with both Where My Vans Go and the first day out projects by Driftershoot.
Maybe we bring up the free site now. Just take a look at see what else has been moving, or look at some other metrics on the free site to see some other interesting analysis throughout the week. Maybe we can look at 30-day, 7-day volume, what's been moving lately. See what kind of comes up there.
Yeah, so over the past 30 days, sorting by volume here. I mean, obviously, CryptoPunks, Bored Apes. I think when you're sorting by volume, a lot of those bigger projects tend to rise to the top of the list, because you just need a lot fewer sales to get that volume number looking a bit better there. But I think some of the usual suspects, or some of the bigger more well-known projects that you'd expect to see there. And then you kind of have some of these others, right? I know Moonrunners. A lot of kind of excitement around that and the things that they were doing, the Possessed, and some of these other newer projects that recently minted. Wizards had a few different kind of interesting mechanics and interesting just speculation, hype, just kind of really different kind of project of trying some new things there, on the Wizards project. But this is kind of what's going on over the past 30 days. Ray, I don't know if I know you were, a Wizards holder, and you have a few of those and have been kind of involved in jumping back and forth, between what's going on there. I don't know if you'd want to potentially jump into that a little bit here while we're kind of showing, how that has done over the past, 30 days compared to some of the other bigger name projects.
Yeah, definitely. I know the Wizards, it's kind of been like a slow burn release of a project. It just caught my eye with the art and storytelling initially. So I jumped in, on secondary and kind of held. But for anyone who's not familiar with Wizards, it was a free mint maybe 3 weeks ago or so. There was a lot of speculation about who was behind it. It looks like there's kind of a comic book story aspect to it. It looks like it's well done, well put together. But there's a lot of controversy over it a week and a half ago. Basically, the way the mechanics work is you could stake your wizard, you put them into a forest, and they gather shrooms. And there were a bunch of tweets going back and forth between a couple official Wizards Twitter accounts, kind of going over the storyline, saying, hey, there's wizards in the forest, they're collecting shrooms. There's cowards. They think they spelled it like cow wizards, who are back in the town. They're not staking, kind of driving people to stake. There's always questions about hey, are they just driving the price up? Are they trying to artificially boost the price? But I think they did it in enough of an interesting storytelling manner that, it made a little bit of sense. But what happened was, at some point they kind of telegraphed on Twitter that the cowards are no longer safe, and that wizards would be burning these cowards, and anybody who had their wizard staked and generating these shrooms could then, burn people's NFTs that were listed under a certain price threshold. I think it was like 3.2 ETH. So there's like a ton of pushback, people not realizing their NFTs were getting burned. They had no clue what was going on. And it definitely, you saw that all over Twitter, like people just really getting upset. And, you can't blame them. They invested money in this project, and, they had their NFT burned. But, kind of on the other hand, like, as part of the burn mechanic, they were then airdropped a new NFT. It was a half skull. So, like, if you're a wizard and you killed a coward, you got a half skull, and then the coward whose NFT was burned got the other half skull. And, the price on the half skulls was, below the wizards. People are still upset. But it's kind of like, well, would they have been as upset if the metadata had just changed on the original NFT? It's just an interesting mechanic that we really haven't seen yet. And I think they tweeted today that there's some sort of snapshot on the full skulls. You could combine two half skulls together, get a full skull, and now there may be like a potential snapshot. So I'm going to be interested in seeing kind of what that price looks like as time goes on. I mean, I've been keeping up on it, constantly. I've been busy, working and doing all that, but it's been interesting to follow along when I kind of get bits and pieces.
Yeah, definitely. I know it was talked about where Kevin, Carly, and Derek were talking about it on 100 Proof a little bit as well. So to be able to kind of catch their attention, I think, different innovation, different ideas, and seeing how those could potentially come into play. But for that, those few days where that kind of burning, where that burning mechanic was live. I mean, you saw that floor stay at a very specific price, and then at that point you really couldn't use the floor as an indicator of like an entry point into the project. You kind of needed to look at the collection offers and see which offers were being accepted, and what was the to kind of use that as the entry. And you kind of see the listings tank quite a bit, because obviously if you did have your wizard listed beneath that floor there, it was pretty much killed instantly. So definitely interesting to kind of see some of these newer projects that are coming out and taking different kind of chances or introducing new kind of games or mechanics around that, and seeing which of those might last longer term, and how those might continue to evolve along the way. We definitely thought that was something that was pretty interesting to see, and I know it was kind of talked about a lot throughout the space over the past few weeks. If we look at 7-day volume here as well, you can kind of see Punks always it looked like Frozen is on stage here, or jump back on stage. I don't know if Frozen wanted to add something to Wizards, if there was anything you wanted to jump in and discuss there.
Not to Wizards specifically. I was keeping a close eye on it, but nothing that I can add that you guys didn't already mention. All
right, cool. Any other anything else you wanted to jump in with?
Yeah, with these events that are occurring, and obviously we're charting it on word graph and line base. Is there a way, or do you guys plan on making a way to like add notes of like specific events to see kind of why it went up or down at a certain point, just so that when you log back into the tool, you can see that this happened event 1 and how did it compare to event 2, and instead of kind of guessing at what date that specific airdrop or staking mechanism went live.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great idea, great feature. I mean, something we definitely want to do with this custom chart creator is, I'm doing a lot of clicking here, but to be able to kind of select a few different data sets that you want to see graphed and like save that as a listing or a graph that you'd want to, or a chart that you'd like to come back to. So being able to kind of select that data set and then save it with a specific name or a description so that you can quickly pull that back up the next time you come onto the site. But I love that idea of tying in, personal notes to different events or different, things that might be occurring within the project. we kind of did this a little bit if we, and you could do it depending on, however many collections you're looking to chart there, but if there is a project that kind of has, follow-up airdrops or claims or anything along those lines, you could kind of see all of these like against each other, and it could kind of be a way where you're let me expand that, sorry. So you could kind of see, all right, this was the proof pass. You could kind of see, this is when Grails dropped, so if we wanted to zoom in a little bit there, you could kind of see what happened to the proof pass when Grails dropped, and then what happened to the proof pass when Moonbirds dropped, and then kind of what happened to potentially Moonbirds or the proof pass when the Oddities were released, So some of these, if you kind of have that, like, those airdrops and that kind of relationship between some of these collections, you can almost see that in this format and in this fashion. But I definitely love the idea of either tying into your own personal notes, or once we build out the newsfeed a little bit more, that could be something where we see, okay, we have like a news article tied to Moonbirds on this day, or tied to proof on this day. Like, can we kind of pull that in and display that in a way here, kind of have maybe the newsfeed, or expand upon the hover, or have a click state where you can see, what the heck did happen on this day, even if you were only looking at, the proof chart. You're looking at this, it's like, whoa, what happened here? Why they dip so much, or why they climb so much? So if we kind of have that newsfeed piece, once that's built out, we could potentially tie some of these events and some of these dates to those newsfeed articles and insights that we're building out. But definitely, you're the second person who's brought up the ability to kind of add some of those own kind of custom notes to some of these projects as well. And I could definitely see that being, the ability to save a chart, and then the ability to save your own personal notes with a chart, and being able to easily reload that, maybe toggling show notes, hide notes, to kind of make sure that the view doesn't get a little too cluttered there. But with all of these things, definitely appreciate the feedback, the suggestions, the advice, and along with any potential criticism as well. We wanted to push this out as quick as we could when we kind of had the idea to let users come in and create their own charts, with the understanding that there's a ton of room for improvement, but didn't want to hold it back too much. Instead, hey, we feel like it's in a state now that we could start pushing it out to our users. Let's do so as soon as possible, and kind of see, what they're able to come up with, and what, feedback and suggestions come out of that, and then use that to kind of build out, and factor that into the roadmap as we continue to move forward. So definitely appreciate that. And I definitely do think that would be a good value add here, to be able to kind of create your own personal notes, and or being able to plot, hey, I bought my proof pass on this date, show me an indicator there for when I bought, if I sold, those kind of things as well. I think that would be very powerful to see here along the way. Or, being able to see if you bought multiple Moonbirds or Oddities or whatever it is, having an indicator on the graph for all of those events. Definitely a lot we can be doing with this. With the last piece I'll kind of throw out there as like, we want to eventually be able to create a view where you could create this chart, and then you could say, add that chart to my view, add that chart to my dashboard, so you could kind of see, you have your totals at the top, and you could kind of hide those and do whatever you want there. But maybe, here are your holdings. That could be maybe a smaller section or smaller grid on the table. Here are some of the charts that you've created that you want to see on your view, along with a column for your news feed, and news insights related to your holdings. So definitely a lot of ideas and a lot of things that we want to be doing, and kind of future vision and insight into some of the thoughts we've had around the tool in its current state, the site in its current state, and where we'd like to take it as we move forward, factoring in and including potentially different chains and different marketplaces along the way as well.
I love that. I appreciate the feedback again. Even like not buying, like when you had that discussion, I believe his name is Ray, around buying where my Vans go. Like, you can kind of plot in a hypothetical, I was going to buy it here, did it go up or down since was it a good decision that I didn't buy, or was it a good decision that I bought? And then with the dashboards, I know a lot of people are like anti-email in the space, and obviously you want users to to use the platform daily or weekly or whatever metric you guys are looking for, but like sending it out to an email of like your top saved dashboards. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all strained for time, and then we're dedicating our time to obviously where the utility or the value is for each individual. So I mean, it's always important to kind of extract the value where an individual will get the most value from.
Yeah, and looking at, I mean, I definitely appreciate all the insight, and looking at like kind of where my head is at in terms of notifications. I think, like you said, it definitely goes like individual by individual, what level of information they want to give up. But I think we can kind of span kind of the gamut of, how we push information, whether it's you provide an email, we can push it to email when that infrastructure is in place. We could push it to cell phone if you wanted to provide that for SMS notifications, or if you really wanted to, stay anonymous, we have experience in building out Discord bots. We can give you a webhook and you can push your notifications to a Discord channel. So we want to kind of be agnostic in terms of, how much information we take based on, what the user's comfortable in giving us for their own use case.
Yeah, thank you, Ray, for including some of that as well. I definitely think we want to be as flexible as we can, but definitely echo and understand, how people might feel about giving out an email or a phone number or anything else along those lines. So, trying to figure out what our user base would be most comfortable with, or just, providing all the different options available, and kind of it's up to you to determine how you'd like to be notified and how you'd like to receive that. Great stuff. Great stuff there. Definitely, please continue making those kind of suggestions and feature requests. I mean, definitely love all of it. So if we go back to the free site, I think we were kind of looking at and sorting by 7-day volume right now. We could, I don't know if we want to put a stop on this, here and just kind of see how much further we want to go here. But I know, there were pretty much three more projects we were hoping to touch on quickly, and we could try to go through them a little bit faster than we were expecting to. But Pudgy Penguins were one that you do see over the past 30 days, over the past 7 days, over the past day, a good amount of volume going on there, and solid increases over the past those past time frames there. So went from 1.49 ETH 30 days ago to a 2.4 ETH floor right now. So seeing, and we've seen some of this, in the past, I think, with this project, and obviously there's a lot of FUD, hype, speculation, all of the above around and surrounding this project. But Ray, I didn't know if you wanted to jump in a little bit more. I think there was, potentially speculation on toys and coins and airdrops and other things, with the Penguins here.
Yeah, definitely an interesting project over time, with it being, handed over from Cold eventually to the community. It's nice to see the project kind of have a little bit of a resurgence here. It's not one I follow too closely personally. It caught my eye, looking at this free dashboard. Caused me to kind of look into it a little bit more. It looks like, they are making progress on, some kind of plush toy. I don't know if that by itself is driving the price action, or is it just the fact that, they are actually doing things. The transition has been successful. The new team seems like they have operations in place. Maybe it's giving, holders and potential new investors a little bit of faith, jumping into the project. And I think yesterday maybe they teased a picture on Twitter with a coin in the background. Anytime anybody sees any kind of coin or speculates about a coin airdrop, people kind of jump in and expect some appreciation in price. So I think we might be seeing a little bit of that too.
Yeah, a little penguin coin there, hidden in the corner, or not really hidden, along with Vitalik's white paper. So definitely a pretty safe assumption there about what they might have coming or up their sleeve there. I guess along their Pudgy-versary. That was Pudgy Penguins a little bit there. I know the next one we wanted to briefly chat about was Etherjump. So that was something that pretty cool project that we've seen come out here. I guess let me clear this out again. I think the more I do this, the more I'm definitely going to try to add the ability to save these charts, so I can just kind of create them ahead of time and pull them up as we're going through it here. But the Etherjumps, those came out pretty recently, right? I think a few days ago.
Yeah, a few days ago.
Yep. You want to jump in a little bit about those, or I could pull up the site here as well.
Yeah, I don't know too much. I mean, I saw a good amount of volume early. It reminded me a lot about Generative Dungeons, which did well initially, and then kind of tapered off a bit. But I kind of stayed away from it. I figured, maybe right now, it just seemed like I really only interacted with like a game demo on OS. I didn't realize the power of the actual builder. When I went into this free play today, I was very impressed, and it kind of makes me want to grab a couple of these, being able to create your own levels potentially. You'll have high scores. You'll probably have people competing to make difficult levels. I can see a lot of applications and community engagement with these, which I could see driving volume and people wanting to get involved with this project.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like a Super Mario Maker, which is something I've played a lot with my son. Being able to kind of create your own levels here. I don't know if you could. Looks like you can add some kind of traps or some kind of danger zones or potentially enemies and stuff along the way. So definitely a cool, interesting project. And this this kind of creator tool here is looks like it's pretty simple and easy to use. Creating different scenes, in different layers and everything along the way. So I haven't bought any yet, but it is something that I just love to see, something that's new, different, innovative in the space, and definitely something that caught our attention that we wanted to at least bring up here on the call. So kind of see the listings going up, but the floor somewhere around 0.16 right now. Collection offered currently sitting at 0.13. So nice little spread there, between the offers and the current floor. So it could be something worth looking into a bit more moving forward, or at least keeping an eye on in the space and seeing where it goes. And I know the last one we were hoping to talk about was the Nickelodeon marketplace, the Nickelodeon project. So do you want to jump in a little bit on that one, Ray? I know that was heavily talked about earlier in the week here, and a lot of buzz and hype around. I mean, I think initially people were a little skeptical about, Recur and some of its past drops, and how they performed in the space. But this is just kind of looking at how things have done, I guess, over the past week or so here with, I guess the floor price, for the collection coming down actually quite a bit from that peak, but just kind of seeing how things look right now for that Nickelodeon project.
Yeah, definitely. Launch from Recur, there's definitely some FUD coming into it. When I was kind of looking at it, I spent a little bit of time trying to form a thesis around it. It seemed to me like that all the characters were very similar. I know that there's like nostalgia involved, but I just didn't see how it was going to capture as much attention as it did, and I was quite wrong there. It definitely caught eyeballs. I think I actually tried to mint one once volume. I saw a little bit of volume on it, but I kept having issues with Recur and Google Pay. Wasn't able to mint. Kind of watched it run and kind of sat on the sidelines a bit. It's interesting to see these big brands come into this space successfully. I know that at least Nickelodeon, it seems that, while at first it may have seemed a little cash grabby to me, it seems like they're at least, interfacing with the space in a way that makes sense and is kind of interesting. They're going to have a staking mechanic, it seems, or a burning mechanic for the PFPs. They're going to burn some of them. You're going to be able to customize your assets. So they're doing some interesting things in terms of Web3. It's nice to see that it's not just a drop and a cash grab and then, hey, we're done. They're at least going to interact and communicate with the space a bit, kind of play around and I think it's good to see that. And then, you know, we see the top there came out at ran pretty high. And then I think we saw Steve Aoki sweep $50,000 worth. So that might have been the death knell for it.
Yeah, it probably was right around here. But you know, if we had Newsfeed in place or Frozen's note suggestion, you know, could potentially throw that somewhere on the chart to be able to see, you know, where some of those events occurred. You know, but I do think in general, I agree. It's nice to see some of these bigger companies, or you know, familiar companies jumping into the space. You do hope, at least in my mind, you know, you hope they do a bit more to actually learn about the space, learn about the technology, and try to figure out more of like how to kind of revamp, rebrand, reshape their business around what the technology and what the space kind of provides. You know, if they're just looking to do a quick grab or, you know, a quick drop or whatever else without having, you know, a full or at least a high level plan in place, I mean, I think it's going to be met with a lot of FUD and a lot of pushback. You know, and kind of going back to that 100 proof, you know, with Kevin Rose, Carly, from Overpriced JPEGs, and Derek. Yeah, I think knowing, like, you know, things that have occurred in the past and in technologies that came out that really disrupted certain markets and disrupted certain industries. And, like, you know, I think people need to, and some of these businesses need to understand, like, this pretty much is that technology. This is the time to really rethink and reshape kind of what you're building and what your brand is, and how to best kind of utilize the technology, the tools that are either being built or trying to figure out how to build them within and around this space. You know, with some of these characters, or almost some of the stuff you maybe see with Stoner Cats even, you know, it's like you have your show and you could kind of mint, you know, the characters that are within the show, or, you know, allowing screenwriters or directors or those with that kind of skill set to kind of be more involved in a project, or kind of creating movies and funding things, you know, that way and from that lens. I mean, there's so many different kind of use cases and applicability to different areas in the space that, you know, it'll be really interesting to see who's just trying to limp into the space versus who's willing to kind of jump and dive in head first, you know, and really kind of disrupt their business around it, you know, and then, you know, really reap the benefits of it down the road. So I think, yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of where this goes from here, or if it was just kind of another one-time drop, and then try to see, you know, what happens to this project or other projects like it down the road. Yeah, I think we're at about an hour and a half now, considering when we actually got started and got everything kicked off. So I think I'm about good and ready to wrap up. But definitely anyone who's here, if you want to jump on the stage or ask anything else, could definitely stay on for a few questions or any kind of feedback around the space, or you know, the YouTube live stream as well. So definitely request to come up or chat. Otherwise, yeah, I think could probably call it there, right, Ray?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. It's definitely fun. You know, first of hopefully many of these, we're going to try to get them on the schedule weekly on Fridays. You know, give a little bit, talk about the market, you know, talk about what happened in that week, use some of our tools, kind of combine, you know, a little bit of education if you're a current holder, maybe push you in that direction if you're not. We'll show some stuff that's free that everyone can use, and we'll try to help you guys all, you know, make good decisions, find new projects, you know, learn a thing or two, and at the very least maybe provide a little bit of entertainment.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks for everyone tuning in, and that dealt with some of the tech work-throughs that we're still working on and improving, and hopefully every week that we do host these, the production value does get a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely know once we build out the note functionality, I'll be sure to add a note to my where my Vans go graph, just to remind myself where Ray suggested I don't buy one. So that'll be the first note that I add into the site. So appreciate that, Frozen, and appreciate that, Ray. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. You know, when we're always going back and forth in the Discord, you know, we have a premium alpha channel, which, you know, we're kind of just talking about drops and happenings and everything that's going on within the space. So definitely encourage everyone to join us there. Encourage everyone to, you know, from the free site, to potentially go out and buy our NFT, to be able to kind of click around and use the site and click around some of the features and everything that we kind of reviewed a bit today, along with the Premium Plus offering, which provides even more access to some of the tools and features that we have available here. So thanks so much for tuning in, and look forward to doing this again next week. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
We're gonna make it.
WGMI.